Ladies and gentlemen, on this episode of Historical Legendary Figures, I figured why not we talk about someone who is responsible for making America. Now, I'm not talking about George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, or even the founding fathers. I'm instead talking about Marquis de Lafayette. Now, in case you're wondering who this person is, he was born on September 6, 1757 in France. At the age of 19, he heard about America wanting liberty, and he got inspired. So, against his king's orders, he came to America, volunteered to fight for the Continental Army, and he ended up gaining the trust of George Washington, who would end up treating him like an adopted son. He became a major general in 1777, even though he had little to no training at all in battles. In fact, talking of battles, his very first battle was Battle of Brandywine, where he was shot in the leg. But instead of bleeding out or really dying from it, he instead continued fighting until all of his people could end up retreating with him. Another battle that he was in was Battle of Rose Island and even Yorktown in 1781. However, in Yorktown, it was his leadership that helped them basically box in the British and trap them. Which he would also end up returning to France. Not because he was trying to run away, but instead he went over to France and boosted the morale of them to where they would want to join with us. So it was because of him that there were more French people at some of the battles than there were Americans. Also helped draft the Declaration of the Rights of Man and the Citizens with Thomas Jefferson. He also tried pushing for constitutional monarchy and liberal reforms, but this kind of put him at odds with radical and extremists at the time. And when he went back over to France, there was something called the Reign of Terror. Now, he decided to basically run away at this point, go hide in another country. However, they didn't want a war between the two countries, so he was in prison for 5 years, unfortunately. But after he got out in 1824, he decided to return to America to do a celebratory tour. He visited all 24 states at the time, and then a decade later, he would unfortunately pass. However, he was buried in France under American Soul. That's right, we took American Soul specifically from Bunker Hill that he is buried under. In 2002, he was declared a honorary citizen, and he was also given the nickname the Hero of Two Worlds, both France and America. In case you're wondering where you can see him, he's actually got his picture still up in Congress. So, you didn't know this, please follow, sub, leave a like, share around, and comment who we should talk about next. Bye, y'all.